If you're over 70, your hands can reveal a stroke weeks before it happens, long before any doctor can. One morning, you reach for your cup of tea and your fingers hesitate. Just a flicker, a tremor so faint you almost miss it. You smile it off. Maybe you slept wrong, maybe it's nothing. But what if that tiny shake was your brain's first cry for help? I'm Dr. Claire Morgan, and what I'm about to tell you may change the way you look at your own hands forever. For millions of people over 70, a stroke doesn't begin with pain or collapse. It begins quietly, in the fingertips. Most of us imagine a stroke as a sudden emergency, a face drooping, speech slurs, or someone falling. That's the loud version. But before the collapse, there's the whisper. Weeks, even months earlier, the body starts sending small warnings, tiny misfires, subtle hesitations between your brain and your body. And your hands, those loyal tools that have carried your whole life's work, are often the first to know. Every gesture you make relies on a symphony inside you. Muscles, nerves, arteries, veins, and neural circuits all communicate in milliseconds. If even one blood vessel narrows, even slightly, the harmony falters, and your hands, graceful, capable, familiar, begin to stumble before you notice anything else. That's why neurologists sometimes call the hands a window into the brain. If one hand suddenly weakens, that's not age. That's your brain sending an SOS. A stroke rarely begins with pain. It begins in your fingertips. So stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what your hands can reveal and how noticing a single change could save your life. For those in their 70s and beyond, that window becomes fragile. Blood vessels stiffen. Heart rhythms lose their steady beat. Cholesterol and high blood pressure quietly chip away at the flow. Microscopic arteries that once pulsed freely start to close in, and the parts of the brain that control movement lose their easy grace. The warning may come as something you would never think twice about. A button that suddenly feels difficult, a key that slips from your grasp, or a mug that falls before you even realize your hand let go. That single, ordinary moment could be your body's first sign that a stroke is near. But here's what most people don't realize. Your hands can warn you days before a medical test ever could. You might notice your grip isn't what it used to be. One hand feels weaker than the other. You go to open a jar and the lid doesn't budge. You tell yourself it's nothing, just age, just fatigue. But if the change is new, if it's one-sided, or if it arrived suddenly, it deserves your attention. A stroke doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's the final moment in a chain of events that's been building quietly for years. The tragedy is that those years are often full of warnings we simply never learned to read. The hands are among the clearest. Keep watching till the end. I will show you the one simple test you can do at home in 10 seconds to detect any warning signs in your hands. Here are the 4 early hand warnings to watch for. First, grip strength. If you suddenly struggle to hold objects you once managed easily, jars, keys, mugs, or you feel one hand tiring faster than the other, that can hint at reduced blood flow to the part of the brain that controls hand movement. Second, clumsiness. You begin dropping things, missing buttons, spilling tea. You laugh it off, call it butterfingers. But sometimes the cause isn't in the fingers at all, it's in the brain's communication lines. Third, numbness or tingling that wasn't there before. Many older adults assume that pins and needles come from arthritis or carpal tunnel. Often they do, but when the sensation is sudden or isolated to one side, it can be vascular, a mini stroke, or what doctors call a transient ischemic attack. A TIA is a small rehearsal of a major stroke, and catching it can save your life. Fourth, coordination. Maybe the hand doesn't obey the mind as smoothly as before. Screwdrivers slip, handwriting changes, and fine tasks take longer. These small mechanical shifts are sometimes the earliest sign that brain circuits are under strain. The key is noticing change, not the slow evolution of decades, but the sudden or asymmetric shift that your intuition recognizes as different. That difference is your clue. And if you've ever felt that moment when your hand doesn't move quite the way it used to, share it in the comments below. You might help someone else recognize it in time. Because awareness doesn't just save lives, it starts with a conversation. And this one test could reveal it instantly. Now, why does this matter so much after 70? Because the biology of age alters the odds. The arteries that feed your brain have endured 70 years of pulse and pressure. They may have plaques, tiny calcium nodules, or chronic inflammation. The protective lining, the endothelium, becomes less responsive. Even a brief clot or pressure spike can reduce flow to delicate areas that control movement or speech. Yes, arteries stiffen with age, but it's never too late to restore flow through small daily habits. And unlike a muscle, the brain doesn't store oxygen. When blood falters, neurons start dying within minutes. So the earlier you act, the more brain cells you save. Unfortunately, awareness of early stroke warnings is lowest in the oldest groups. Many people over 70 assume weakness or imbalance is just getting old. But age itself isn't the cause, it's the backdrop. A stroke is a disease of blood, not of years. So, what can you do? Start with observation. Choose one quiet moment each week to check in with your hands. Hold them palms up. Notice color, temperature, any swelling or tremor. Then test them gently. Open and close your fists. Squeeze a stress ball or a soft towel. Compare sides. Does one hand feel weaker, slower, or less coordinated? Next, try small tasks. Button a shirt, pick up coins, write your name. If one hand suddenly lags behind the other, don't ignore it. Write it down. It's never just age, it's information. Every flicker, every tremor is your body trying to communicate. Here's what 9 out of 10 seniors never realize. The act of noticing and documenting gives you a timeline, a pattern your doctor can use. Then check your numbers: blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, and weight. These are not abstract figures. They are the engineering specs of your circulatory system. Each of these numbers is a story, and the better you know them, the longer that story runs. For example, every 20-point rise in systolic blood pressure doubles the risk of stroke. That's how fragile the balance becomes after 70. If you notice hand changes and you have risk factors like hypertension, diabetes, or atrial fibrillation, don't wait. See your doctor. Explain what you have observed. Mention if the change was sudden or one-sided. Your doctor may order a neurological exam, an ultrasound of your neck arteries, or a heart rhythm test. These are straightforward, non-invasive, and potentially life-saving. And please, don't talk yourself out of seeking help because you don't want to bother anyone. That instinct kills more people than any disease. Your body is giving data. You have every right to investigate it. Her story is a quiet reminder that the smallest hesitation can be the body's loudest whisper. Now let's zoom out. What's really happening under the surface? In medical terms, a stroke occurs when blood flow to part of the brain is blocked or when a vessel ruptures. Without oxygen, brain cells begin to die, leading to loss of function in the area they control: speech, vision, and movement. But here's the hopeful truth. Catching those mini signs early can prevent up to 80% of strokes. Before a full blockage happens, there can be transient episodes where flow is temporarily reduced. These cause short-lived symptoms: hand weakness, numbness, blurred vision, and speech slurring that lasts minutes and then disappears. People often ignore these because they pass. Yet they are the single most reliable predictor of an impending stroke within days. Think of them as tremors before an earthquake. Small, almost polite warnings. Ignore enough of them, and the ground gives way. That's why the hand is so revealing. It's controlled by some of the most fine-tuned neural circuits in the body. When the brain falters, precision is the first to go. So even a minor reduction in blood supply can produce visible clumsiness long before a total collapse. The goal, then, is not to panic, it's to listen, to treat every new weakness, every odd sensation, as a clue worth exploring. If nothing's wrong, you lose nothing. If something is wrong, you gain time, the most precious resource in stroke prevention. Let me tell you about one of my patients. She's 78, a retired school teacher who still bakes scones every Sunday for her grandchildren. Last winter, she noticed something strange. Her right hand began to drop the kettle just before pouring. It wasn't pain, just a small slip. She laughed it off the first time. The second time, she paused. Her daughter, who had seen a video just like this, insisted she call her doctor. Within hours, Margaret was in the emergency department. Doctors discovered she'd had a transient ischemic attack, a mini stroke. A tiny clot had briefly reduced blood flow to her left brain, the side that controls her right hand. Because she acted fast, the clot hadn't caused permanent damage. She was treated, her blood pressure stabilized, and her risk factors managed. Today, she tells everyone she meets, "It started with my hand, and that hand saved my life." Here's the simple test. Rest your forearms on a table, palms facing up. Now lift both hands and stretch your fingers wide as if you are opening them to the light. Hold that position for 10 seconds. Watch carefully. Do both hands rise evenly? Do your fingers open with the same strength? Does one hand tremble, droop, or respond more slowly than the other? That asymmetry, even the slightest lag, can be an early clue that one side of your brain isn't sending signals quite as smoothly as the other. It doesn't confirm a stroke, but it tells you something is worth checking. If you ever notice one hand weaker, slower, or unsteady, don't wait. Bring it up with your doctor, because 10 seconds of awareness today could buy you years of healthy tomorrows. If this video helped you, please like and share it. Could literally save someone's life. Now, prevention itself. For those over 70, the foundations are simple but powerful. Control blood pressure. Keep sugar and cholesterol within range. If you smoke, stop. Move your body daily, even gentle walking. Stay hydrated. Eat plenty of colorful vegetables, whole grains, and omega-3 rich foods like fish or flaxseed. These habits keep vessels flexible and reduce clot formation. And then, sleep. It's the body's nightly maintenance cycle. During deep sleep, the brain clears waste, balances blood flow, and restores vessel tone. Chronic insomnia or untreated sleep apnea raises stroke risk dramatically, so treat your sleep as medicine. If you live alone, share your awareness with someone, a neighbor, a friend, a family member. Teach them the basics: face drooping, arm weakness, speech slurring. Time equals brain. If any of those appear, call emergency services immediately. The window for effective treatment is short, sometimes less than 4 hours. And modern medicine can work miracles if you act fast. Now let's return to the hands one more time. They are not just functional, they are symbolic. They have carried your life's work, cooking, holding, creating, and comforting. They hold the fingerprints of your memories. So when they change, it's worth paying attention. Imagine your hands as an early warning instrument panel. Grip strength, dexterity, and sensation are all gauges of neural health. A sudden flicker in one gauge doesn't mean catastrophe, but it means check the engine. If you do nothing else, remember this: after 70, asymmetry matters. If one hand weakens, one arm drifts, one side tingles, treat it as urgent until proven otherwise. You deserve more years of movement, conversation, and sunlight. Stroke is not an inevitable part of aging. It's a risk. One you can reduce with awareness, prevention, and swift action. So the next time you lift that morning cup of tea, glance at your hands. Ask quietly, are you steady? Are you strong? If they answer yes, thank them. If they hesitate, listen closer. Your hands have been talking to you all your life. Now, in these years of wisdom, they may be trying to save it, because in the end, the body doesn't lie. It only whispers. If you found this message helpful, subscribe and like the video. Share it with someone over 70, because a single bit of information could help them recognize the signs before it's too late. Knowledge, especially about your own health, is the most powerful medicine you will ever hold.